Right, so is Keir Starmer's premiership about to come to an end? It'll be pretty much the most exciting thing about the man that's ever happened, since he's got all the personality of a stale cornflake after all. Yet, over the last few days across social media, since Labour's disastrous conference finished, certainly, with all the damaging revelations and rumours that have been swirling, is he about to go? And fundamentally, what has changed that this is now coming about? Sure, he's come under greater scrutiny. We always knew that would be the case once he entered government. A free pass given to him for so long as Labour leader. But in my view, the mainstream media, obsessing over clothes donations and the like, have only really been scratching the surface. Especially as that £4 million tax haven hedge fund donation gets more traction in the public eye thanks to social media and alternative media highlighting it than any efforts by mainstream sources who have mainly continued to completely ignore it. The most repeated rumour, though, is that something big is coming at the beginning of this coming week, and is going to finish him. So what more could it be? Put it this way, if he does go, he finally have managed to keep his word on something. He promised change, and him going would at least finally deliver that. Right, so what's coming in the next week that could see Keir Starmer finally go then, Damo? Well, let's have a little catch up and have a bit of a think about it. Let's have a refresher first on what we already know. So far, Starmer has promised change and delivered nothing but more Tory cruelty, completely out of step with Labour Party values. He decided to keep the two-child benefit cap. He suspended 7 MPs for voting against that, didn't he, in a show of total antidemocratic malice. He and Reeves are slashing the winter fuel allowance, certain to condemn more people, more pensioners to a very cold winter, and the excess deaths created as a result of that will be a certainty. He's now mooting a massive tuition fee hike for students, but thinks restoring the maintenance grant will offset any bad press here. However, being means tested as that's going to be, and with his plans to also crack down on alleged welfare fraud and spy on benefit claimants' bank accounts, how many students can reliably hang on to their grants to be able to afford to live while studying? And this disproportionately hits working class families, of course, who Labour is meant to represent, but clearly no longer does. Starmer was elevated quickly in the Labour Party because of his reputation at the Crown Prosecution Service, for which a study of investigations into his time there have revealed a man who was basically hopeless, whose reforms were widely regarded as pointless by others who worked there, and who got a taste for freebies, having charged the public purse, for the CPS is a non-ministerial government department, having charged the public purse nearly £250,000 in his time at the CPS, as he put a £2,000 a week chauffeur-driven car on expenses just to drive him the distance of 4 miles to work from his home. There was a direct tube link he could have taken as well, really showing his son of a toolmaker credentials there, wasn't he? Having entered Parliament as an MP in 2015, he was quickly elevated by Jeremy Corbyn to Brexit Shadow Secretary, and he sabotaged the Corbyn project then and there, and everyone supporting it over that, claiming that Remain should remain on the ballot, all but handing Boris Johnson power in 2019 as a result, inflicting his oven-ready Brexit plan on the nation, which actually turned out to be a complete dog's dinner. While Johnson wrecked the country, had his jollies, his parties, broke lockdown rules, Starmer was caught out with Beergate. And of course, during all of that time, of course, having by now replaced Corbyn as Labour leader, he was breaking his word, ditching his pledges, and embarking on a systematic purging of the left of the Labour Party. If you didn't walk willingly, having shown people the door, he made sure you were a goner by hook or by crook, chasing people through social media, continuing to trade on the overemphasised allegations of anti-Semitism in the media that hounded Corbyn, retrospective prescriptions of affiliated groups, and labelling anyone remotely supportive of Corbyn in his stance on anti-Semitism as racist. The depths of his pro-Zionist proclivities rapidly became apparent, and the purge of the Labour Party of the left under the auspices of anti-Semitism takes on a whole new light in retrospect, doesn't it? That he was as much doing the bidding of the Israel lobby as turning the Labour Party into another version of the Conservatives. And now we have Starmer as Prime Minister, and his inexperience as a politician is clearly on show. He has no idea how to manage people. He orders people around, it's his way or the highway, and when he has the likes of Morgan McSweeney, who apparently dreamt up the anti-Semitism attack line on Corbyn that worked so well, and Peter Mandelson, who worked every day to bring Corbyn down as his advisors, it's a mess all of Starmer's own making that he now finds himself in. But for as shallow and venal as Starmer has proven to be, it's the freebies that are costing him the most damage right at this minute in time, saying the need to continue austerity is there for all of us, yet this knight of the realm, this multi-millionaire former barrister, who has to keep reminding us he's working class, but if you have to keep saying it, you aren't really, are you? But he keeps taking free gifts, be it clothes or accommodation for his son, despite the dates not matching his GCSEs. There was the clothes for his wife, for Angela Rayner as well, for Bridget Phillipson's birthday, and that's just from Lord Alley, isn't it? Never mind all the football matches, the Taylor Swift tickets, and now today, yet more revelations that actually he took twice as much in the way of clothing donations from Lord Alley. He just put the rest of it down as office expenses, just like Angela Rayner and Rachel Reeves initially had done. And now they have come out as well. That's all aside, of course, from that tax haven-based hedge fund with interest in fossil fuels, the arms industry and banksters having given Labour the biggest donation in the party's history of £4 million, which appears to have directly impacted climate policy, as the hedge fund's Climate Foundation co-chair is now the government climate envoy. Businesses, particularly banks represented by them as well, look set to invest in Starmer's AI project, to fund that rather than public money funding it. And of course, being based in a tax haven, word that Labour are going to ditch or water down plans to scrap non-dom tax status looks like it's bought and paid for policy as well, doesn't it? All of that. And I haven't really gone heavily into just how much and how often this man has just out and out lied to us, the British public. It's hardly a wonder that he is as widely disliked as he is, that Labour are in power not because of him, but built on anti-Tory sentiment. And therefore we shouldn't be too surprised that Labour's polling is now sinking as fast as it is. And to cap it all off, a right-wing MP has now quit Labour, Starmer's faction at that, because he's not delivering on his word. Well, it doesn't surprise a great many people that he's broken his word, Rosie Duffield, even if it's come as a bit of a shock to yourself. There's certainly been a run of bad press, but it's stuff MPs have weathered before in the past. Not that they should. There was a time MPs used to resign over such matters when they got caught out. It doesn't happen anymore, does it? So what could possibly have happened now? What could be brewing that is so bad that Starmer might be about to go? And it's not just mischief making from left-wing commentators that this is coming from that is making an issue of this, because bookies are now placing odds on who's going to take over from him. I'll come back to that one in a moment. Now, of course, there's been rumours swirling for a while. There were rumours that he'd had an affair. There were rumours that he got off Beergate charges, which he said he'd resign over if he was found guilty, that he leaned on the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner in relation to that. Is it something along these lines that's finally going to come out with fact and finish him? Something the media has been sat on somewhere. Isabel Oakeshott, of all people, recently opined that there was an open secret concerning Starmer amongst the media, implying they are sat on something explosive again. And I tell you what, if it's again something that we could have done with knowing about before the general election, there's got to be hell to pay for the media too, because they've done this too often in recent years. Not chosen to inform us, deliberately have kept things from us, deliver news that is relevant that we could have done with knowing about earlier, in order to influence public opinion in a certain way. If it is something like that, then the media needs a monstering as much as Starmer may well do over whatever this might be. It's got to be something big, beyond what we've been hearing about of late, if there is a concerted view that this is going to finish Starmer, in my opinion. Maybe it's just the polling collapse. Maybe it is bigger and faster and more dire than publicly implied. Or maybe it is something else entirely. Well, we don't have long to wait if it is destined to come out this week. Now, in my introduction, I implied him going would be the only real change he'll have ended up delivering. Sadly, if I thought there was anyone on the left prepared to have a go, I might believe that myself, but Starmer has made sure any change that comes after him won't be any real change in practice, because nobody from the left has a cat in hell's chance of becoming Labour leader again now. So those betting odds, I said I'd come back to them. Who is favourite right now to replace Keir Starmer then? Well, at time of writing, it is Rachel Reeves, so absolutely zero change there in which case. But not far behind her is Wes Streeting and Yvette Cooper after that. No change at all, but such is the state of the Labour Party membership these days after the purges. There will be an awful lot of pressure given the disappointment and con Labour have pulled to call another election, I think. Is Starmer going to go? It might all be wishful thinking at the end of the day, mightn't it? But I guess we will soon find out. Maybe there is a lot more to this tax haven hedge fund story. Maybe there is proof that he's in deeper than first thought. This is the big story the mainstream media have mainly ignored. Is this their coup? Do they know more than they're letting on? Check out this video recommendation here to find out about what we do know already in a bit more detail as your suggested next watch. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.